No. No, no. No, 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 no. No. Okay.
I'm Caleb.
I'm Haley.
And I'm having coffee with my ex.
That's good. That's good sounding.
Welcome back to another episode of Coffee with My Ex. This is number 2 of season 2, correct?
2 by 2.
2 by 2 and 4 by 4.
All right.
And we come through the door. Speaking of come through the door, this morning I went through the door of my dentist's office. And that was exciting because I had to get new Invisalign trays, I had to get teeth whitening, and I had to get my teeth cleaned. And
this is a lot to do in a day.
Getting your teeth cleaned is the worst because they use that metal thing that looks like this straw.
Yeah.
And they poke your teeth, and then they, like, what they do is they scrape it, and then they pry. But that's the worst part. I can't handle anything going in between my teeth.
You know, when I was growing up, I used to throw up every single time I went to the dentist.
Throw up?
I used to throw up.
Why?
The smell. You're talking about, like, the smell.
I know what you're talking about.
And the smell would literally make me throw up.
It's like the smell of metal.
It's like the smell of literally
and gloves.
Teeth dust.
Yeah.
And it is triggering.
Sour. It's a sour.
Stop making that sound.
I'm sorry.
Oh my God.
It's
this
bad.
is a podcast.
It's ASMR with Caleb's gag reflex.
All right.
No, there was a point to this story.
I doubt it.
One, I have one of those dentists where he's like a dentist of the stars. And
yeah,
so,
he really is. Shout out Gabe Rosenthal.
Yeah, that's right. And he does a lot of YouTubers.
TikTokers. So like I'm literally
he does
a boomer.
People on the TikToker.
On the TikToker.
But I was telling him, because we started watching Shameless, and he was like, oh my God, I have some of the cast coming in today. And I was like, stop it. So anyway, I almost had a brush with stars.
He's like so shamelessly like such a name dropper, I feel.
Like
good for him.
He's the one person that I like share my accomplishments with because I don't feel bad, because I feel like he genuinely like is excited that he gets to do my teeth.
Yeah.
But the point of this story was that I forgot how to be a person in like the day-to-day interactions, like the, hey, how are you? Like, oh, thank you for showing me into this room. Like I literally don't know how to interact with anyone but you and Cameron.
Oh,
and
same.
Allison.
Same.
The pleasantries are beside me. So anyway, That's my tangent.
What a tangent that was. So what's up?
Well, what's up is today that you had this brilliant idea, because we're going through all the topics for the podcast, and then we wrote them down in a notebook. You wrote them down in a notebook.
Yeah, in my freaking cooking notebook.
Because I said, Kaylee, we have an shared iCloud note. Let's put it in there. And you said, I didn't see
you taking any notes.
I was literally sitting there brainstorming. So she lost all of our notes.
I did not lose them. I had misplaced them. They are found, and I have taken a picture of them. They were just in the wrong notebook.
Okay. Well, anyways, while we thought they were lost, you came up with the idea to do an advice column.
I did. Actually, where I got this idea from, credit where credit is due, is Ashley and Taryn, Ashley is Alicia's sister.
Okay.
And they have a podcast called Unsolicited Advice, and their whole podcast format is giving advice.
That's funny.
And it's like so good. So I stole that from them.
So you thought that we had any...
No. The funny part about it is that this is going to be really bad advice. But it's like us trying.
This is us trying.
This is us trying to give good advice. So like we are not liable for any if you take it.
Yeah, absolutely not. If you take it, that's your fault.
That is because I had taken many an advice from Caleb, and it has done nothing but get me in a pickle.
That's not true. Sometimes we need to get in pickles in order to get out of pickles. Am I right, ladies?
No. Okay. So since you obviously did not come prepared, don't worry, because I did.
You have the questions.
The questions are on our shared account called Coffee with My Ex. But don't worry, I screenshotted some. You don't worry about it. So, okay. This is definitely a duo. Definitely equal parts. Is it throwing the cap down going to do anything?
Yeah, it will.
All right. So Jen Camille asks, how do I stop eating carbs with the crying emoji?
You fight it.
So Caleb used to not eat carbs for the longest
Yeah.
time. Number one, don't not eat carbs. That's first and foremost.
Well, some people don't, and they like it.
Well, I'm just saying, like, if it's so hard for you, I would find a way to make it more sustainable in your diet instead of like completely trying to avoid it.
You know what? When I tried to stop eating carbs, I did it successfully. And it was around the era that we shot the jump shot video by Darwin and like Shape of You. And if you'll notice, I mean, I was a lean machine. You could see my muscle. And I think I always felt like I was going to pass out at all times. And my mental health was bad. And while I may have looked good on the outside, I highly, highly do not recommend it. Although, again, we have people who listen to this. Shout out Jerry, who is keto, I still believe, and she loves it. So if it works for you, great. But like, if you're really struggling,
yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, if it's easy for you, like I remember, like when I went vegan, like it was easy for me until it wasn't. And so when it stopped being easy for me, for me, I was like, okay, like this isn't sustainable for me anymore. I would rather like have whatever in my diet and like learn how to eat that stuff in moderation than like completely avoid it, because I think that was doing more harm than good. So it's all about like what you need and what works with your lifestyle. I don't think forcing yourself, if it's like super hard to not eat carbs, is like the move.
Yeah. But if you really want to try, there are tons of great options. So just find things that are like carb-free or alternatives, like bread. We have this new keto bread. I don't think it's like a whole food by any means, but there are alternatives. So
tapioca starch.
Yeah.
Okay. How to get your career started, especially for a creative one like yours. Also, how to network. By Stargirl3.
I think the most important lesson I learned with the Fitness Marshal was that having followers and people watching your videos don't equate to money. And that like if you don't have someone on your team who is business minded, now if you are business minded, then great, but that's the only way to actually develop a business, because everything's calculated, everything's a strategy, and so you have to have all these revenue sources in place, and you really can't, as much as you have to do what you love, you have to be very strategic about it. And it is a formula, it is a game. And so you have to figure out how you're going to play it and what's going to work. And so I think a lot of people, it looks like they're just doing what they love.
Right.
But like if they're making money from it, there's strategy behind it.
And also with that, that's all so true. But also with that, I think that just starting and figuring it out, like I think that's like the number one thing. It's like start and then adjust accordingly.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because like you're never going to have it figured out the moment that you start. So stop thinking like you're going to have it figured out, because you're not going to.
I was on, have you heard the Clubhouse app? So there's this new app called Clubhouse, and apparently it's for like, it's invite only, and it's a bunch of, like Dan just did a panel on Clubhouse with Mr. Beast and Laura DIY and somebody else, or Collins Key. And it's basically just an audio chat room where there's like a group of speakers and then there's an audience of people. And so the audience is just listening in to these like 6 speakers talk. And then like the audience can raise their hand and like ask a question. But it's really cool. And they were giving advice, and they were like, if you're trying to just start out, just throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks and use that as data.
Yeah.
So just don't be afraid to fail in the beginning, but also expect to fail.
Yeah. And that's with anything creative.
Yeah. I still haven't figured out what works on my vlog channel.
We're still figuring out this podcast. All right. Maddie Sibley, she asks, how to stop comparing yourself to others. And what I have to say about that is that's never going to, like, you're never going to be free from that feeling that it's just, I feel like, I hate saying this, but human nature, it really is. But, like, it is also so true that comparison is the thief of joy. Oh. Like, dear God, it's so true. And I think it's just, like, learning not how to, I mean, obviously you need to learn how to stop comparing yourself and so much. But I think also just learning how to manage the feelings, I think, is a better way to approach it. And I think that's easier said than done. But knowing that, like, what makes you special and makes you unique, someone's probably comparing themselves to you, too.
Yep.
And that's weird to think about, but it's true.
It is so weird. I was just the other day, I was in the shower and I was watching a Beast video and he had 50 million views on it. And I saw that all of his videos had 50 million views. And I was like, I am trash. I am trash.
I'm insignificant.
A piece of actual shit. And then yesterday I was sitting there like editing our new video and I was like looking at our subscribers and I was looking at like the money we were going to make this month and like the people we were talking to and like the Warner playlist was up that we're doing now. And I was just like, this is exactly where I dreamed of being.
Yeah. It's
stable,
so weird.
Lots of all the followers, great views.
Yeah.
Like this is exactly what we've always wanted.
Right.
And so it's just
perspective.
That's
stealing your joy
right.
Whenever you're sitting there comparing yourself. When you look around and be like, I worked for this.
Yeah.
Like I'm lucky and like I worked to be here.
Mm-hmm. And also with comparison with the physical, I think that is something that everyone struggles with. But it's still, you think that no one else does. You think like you're the one, but like people compare themselves to you. Mm-hmm. Like you said, and that's so important to remember. So once again, and I was just talking to Allison about this, it's all relative because someone would kill to look exactly like you.
Yeah.
That's it.
That's the T, sis. Photo MK11. This is a good question.
Photo MK11. Huh?
That's the name. That's the username.
Oh. I thought you were talking about MK Ultra. I was like, we're getting into that?
He says, or she says, or they say, we are quick to see toxicity in others, but how do we acknowledge it in ourselves? Isn't that such a good question?
Oh.
And I would love to know the answer.
I think, I mean, personally for me, therapy has helped me have someone call me out on my bullshit. Also, having people I love call me out on my bullshit is like when you and Allison and Cameron say things to me, that holds more weight than anything. And that makes me reflect. So I feel like if you have people around you, that's your best way to like acknowledge something within yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, and even if people love you, like when they make little comments, I feel like it could be a loving way. Or if you're like noticing you always have like a negative interaction after you're doing something repeatedly. Mm-hmm. It's just like little things that you're like, I feel like this always
like
kind of like makes me feel bad. Yeah.
Take an inventory of like your surroundings and the people you love and how they react to you in certain situations. And then like from there, like, acknowledging it, like, and working on it every day. Mm-hmm.
And I believe that everyone has good in them and everyone wants to do good and has the capacity to be good. Mm-hmm. And so I think it's just like allowing yourself to constantly work on something. Because even when you recognize it, it's going to take time to break that habit because it's just instinctual. You just do things.
Yeah.
So give yourself some grace, but just try to work on it.
Yeah. Sarcastic Boho says, should I give up on someone even though I care about them? They are being closed off and it's frustrating.
You want to take it?
I think that if it starts taking a toll on you and your mental health and like how you start feeling about yourself is like, that's when it's time to kind of like let it go, because how they're acting and how it makes you feel is all on them. Like you cannot control them opening up to you. You cannot control them expressing themselves. Mm-hmm. So I think that's something that like you cannot, I think there's a fine line in between, I don't know, holding someone accountable and trying to kind of like make them a better person. Mm-hmm. I think that true, friendships, relationships, like you always try to push each other to be your best selves. But if it starts taking a toll on you, that's when you have to be like, okay, like this isn't worth your making me kind of like feel like you, like I don't want to express myself anymore.
Yeah, I've learned that you cannot control people, and no matter how much you want something for them, no matter how much you try to like be the person you want them to be, mm-hmm. you are two separate people, and it's not fair for you to like make someone else try to be who you want them to be. Right. And it's like sometimes you just gotta let people have their own journey. And even within relationships, like with Cameron, like I feel like I catch myself trying to make him I want him to feel the way I'm feeling, mm-hmm. or I want him to react the way I want him to react, but that's not fair because we're all our own people. And I think that separation and real,
no two people have the exact same feelings about everything.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And that's okay.
Rachel Flores. She says, how to manage or avoid toxic diet culture.
Delete your social media.
Right. Good luck. Good luck with that.
I think there is a line between, because I think it can go both ways, and we can label kind of everything toxic. So like, if you're seeing things that are unhealthy, like flat tummy tea, oh no, maybe they won't ever sponsor us. Can you imagine doing a sponsorship with them?
There was a bikini, it's like Bikini Cleanse, I think. They offered me so much money. You know how hard that was to turn down? All right, continue, sorry.
But like things like that you see that you're like, clearly this is bad.
Yeah.
Avoid that, or do you have to just, I guess, have the mental know-how to be like, oh, that's unhealthy. But if you see things that are like encouraging you, then I guess that can be different, because sometimes it's like we don't want to see things that remind us that we want to work on something. So it depends. So if in your journey in your life, if you're like, there's something I really want to change, then maybe follow accounts that are motivating you. I guess just follow what you want to consume, because like it's good to grow. It's good to hold yourself accountable and to be inspired, but it's also not good to like feel like shit, especially if you are trying and you already are on your journey.
Yeah. I think also with like just consuming like even like YouTube videos or like whatever, and you see all these like influencers and they're always like trying out new diets, and then like I think that to a certain extent like trying out new stuff is good, but I also think that there's a lot of diets that influencers try that like are crazy and like do so much harm to their bodies, and like they encourage other people it's just like you have to be, and to navigate, and this is just the truth, to navigate in this world where we have so much content from so many people who like just have a podium to speak about whatever, you have to kind of like be a smart consumer. You just have to navigate that according to your own health, and it's just like not something that I feel like humans are equipped to do, like consume so many opinions at once. But it just is something we have to learn to do.
I was just talking to Chip about this, and he's like,
Chip.
He's like, there are so many people with platforms, like you said, who are posting things that, like, if they're trying this new diet or something, like, these influencers, especially fitness influencers, sometimes understand things on a different level of complexity. So it's like, if they're trying something or putting something out there, you have to assume that people are going to take that with no nuance.
Right.
And just take it as this is the Bible truth. So it's like, even if you are trying out something and maybe it is healthy for you, it's like, as an influencer, you have to assume that someone's going to see you fasting for 24 hours and they're going to try to stop eating forever. Yeah. So like there are too many influencers who aren't responsible and don't acknowledge the fact that like nuance does not exist in social media. Right.
Okay. Mad_Rhodes. How to stay strong and doing what you love instead of what might keep you safest, in parentheses, your job. So like quitting your job to do something that you love, even though like your job keeps you safe and what you love might not. And to me, I feel like even though I kind of did that, I never had like a job that kept me safe though. Yeah. This is kind of like what I've always just done. But I think that especially in our society and like what's happening now and everyone's just trying to survive, I think romanticizing this idea that like you absolutely have to do something that you love to be happy, I don't think it's necessarily as helpful as people think it is. I think that valuing, and this is not to say that you shouldn't do what you love, but I'm saying that like valuing safety and stability isn't bad. Yeah. And so like, it's just like weighing those two things. I don't think one is better than the other. And I think that having a job that is creative or your dream job is romanticized a lot of the time because it's still a job.
It is romanticized.
Yeah. We were just talking about this the other day. Like we didn't want to shoot and we're like, wow. We have our dream job. I wouldn't want to be doing anything else, and I still don't want to do this. Yeah.
I saw this TikTok that was talking about how it's kind of like you were saying, you don't have to monetize everything that you love.
Right.
So like if you're doing a job that's
that
stable
is what
and
capitalism
safe,
tells you to
right.
do. Yeah.
It's okay to just work a job and get through it. Like, you shouldn't hate it, but like if you can do it, great. And then like have hobbies on the side and don't feel like you have to monetize them. Just enjoy them.
Enjoy them.
I miss enjoying things for pleasure.
And I am happy that, I mean, there's things that I do that I feel like are literal hobbies, and it makes me so happy to do them. Like, it literally, it's just happy because there's no pressure.
Yeah.
And then when you start monetizing shit, it makes it, you can still love it, but it makes it less fun.
Yeah.
And that's just the truth. And I just, you don't have to have like a side hustle to feel like you're fulfilled. Okay, Jillybob31. She says, not necessarily advice, but I'd love to hear a bit on what some red flags for guys you look for. So, like, what are some red flags? Number 1.
You take those.
Wolf of Wall Street is their favorite movie.
Oh.
That's a red flag. What else? What else? I should have come prepared.
I feel like you can just rattle these off.
You have to name one.
Do I have a red flag?
You don't have any red flags.
I think that my number one red flag. Well, I don't know.
No,
oh my
say
god,
it.
I don't know. What's a red? Maybe I don't even know if I have a green flag. You know what? I think red flag. You know what? No, I don't have one.
Say it.
I truly don't.
Why you keep saying that?
Because I'm like, that's not a red flag. You're just like particular.
Tell me what it is.
Like,
what's your red flag?
If they don't.
Mine's very particular as well.
Okay, here's my red flag. If they have a very. If they aren't passionate about something, or they don't like have things that they believe, I think that's a red flag. Having like, yeah, if they don't have opinions or thoughts or think that the world is bigger than themselves. Yeah.
Those are 2 very good red flags.
And if they don't like Britney Spears.
Red flag. I'm trying to think. Obviously there's so many, but I'm trying to think of like ones that aren't offensive. Can't. Okay.
If they're mean to, you know what? I just saw this on the internet and I was like, yes, if they're mean to like, essential workers, essentially, like they don't say hi to the greeter when they walk into the store. If they like ignore people or treat them like they are less than. Yeah. Huge red flag.
All right. Kelsey Kearney. She says, how to keep going when literally everything is wrong. LMAO. Caleb?
You just dance.
I was having a mini come apart the other day because when they stormed the Capitol, literally we were doing a live stream. We were dancing. And I was like, this is what it feels like when the world is crumbling down. Like everything still keeps going. And every time I've seen on TikTok like a lot of people from other countries weighing in on this. Like countries who have had a lot of like craziness or like people trying to overthrow the government, like whatever, and they're like, that's what it feels like. Like you still live your day by day, but like madness is happening around you, and like you still like go out to eat.
You're just desensitized.
Yeah,
I'm so desensitized.
He's very desensitized. I am probably take it harder than most. Everything that goes on.
She's like spiraling. I'm like, yeah.
So I don't have the answer to that. My answer to that is to just try to know everything there is to know.
You're like, do you understand the Capitol's being stormed? He's still in office. He's tweeting these things. He's inciting violence. And I'm like, but have you watched the morning show?
Just like, okay. Yeah. So my advice is not good. My advice is to dive deeper. And his advice is to watch the morning show.
I just consume as much as I can. And you know what? It's up to everyone's personal thing, because like there's also an argument for not consuming enough and being blind to it and ignoring it, which is a privilege. So I try to do both, but I'm definitely, I don't know if I have the right answer. I just know I'm not as sensitized to it. And maybe that's just sad or irresponsible. But like, if not, I feel like I couldn't do my job. like my day to day. Like I just focus on that and I just forget
I
about
feel like
everything
that's
else.
why that's why it's hard for me to come in here sometimes and I'm like, none of this matters. And like I know it does. I know like
I know what you
it's
mean.
good, but I'm just like, this is not what I'm thinking about right now.
I'm just like, let Nancy figure it out. Let AOC figure it out.
Ooh, I don't know what this name is.
Don't fuck it up.
Oh no. Oh, Rebak Schwappy.
You sounded like
Jesse from Little Mix.
I think it's Reba.
I feel so fucking stupid. Oh, Reba, I'm so sorry.
Yeah, you have to put that on the screen. That is so funny.
I was sweating. I feel so stupid. Okay, well, she said, when it's time to pick yourself up back up. Wait, sorry, I'm having a stroke. When it's time to pick yourself back up after being sad.
When is it time or
When, like, what to do when it's time? Like, when? How do you know when it's time?
for me personally, when I give myself never more than a day. Except
Never more.
because like last year when we went through like that awful time, that was like every day was miserable for a little while, and it was just like when you realize that there's nothing you can change and that you've wallowed enough and that your wallowing is not doing anything more, that's when it's time to be like, okay, even though it's hard, I'm gonna try to take a step today. And I'm really bad about that because when I remember like when I went through my breakup, I was not functioning. I was a non-functioning human being.
Yeah.
I just feel like we're different. I feel like you're much better at like picking yourself back up and just going about your day and doing what you need to do.
Only because I have to. Then you were like a kid and you didn't have to.
I guess that's different. Yeah. But I guess I don't know if is that advice?
They are words.
They were words. I said things. Pick yourself up, buttercup.
I don't have the answer. Just be numb to everything. I don't know.
I think you should definitely give yourself time, but I think that more than a few days, more than a week, it depends on the loss. Like, did you lose something?
We need
context.
context. We need context. All right, face the wrath.key says, oh, how do you...
Do you need to switch? Do we need to switch? Do you need to read?
How to emotionally move on from a breakup. Why did I do that?
I just had a dream about my ex last week.
Oh, no.
It's been 6 years.
Oh, no. Oh.
But Karen was in it too.
Oh,
and
my...
I chose him. It was very dramatic.
Your dreams are weird. They're like real life. How to emotionally move on for a breakup. Go on.
I don't have the, you know what? I'll tell you what I didn't do is I didn't move on. And when
I'll tell you what I
didn't do. When I went through a breakup like 6 years ago, I'm apparently still healing from. I started dating Cameron like a year after, but like I still held a place in my heart for that person. And so 4 years into our relationship of Cameron and I still hadn't let that go. Mm-hmm. And no matter how long we progressed, there was still a part of me that was like, I have to keep myself open just in case, because this person still owns this part of me. Mm-hmm. And until I like was in therapy and I did the literally EDMR, EDMR, whatever, and started sobbing uncontrollably for no reason.
So scary.
That's when it like started to let that go and like actually come to terms with everything and like process it. Because before I was like, this is not my fault. I had no part in this. And once I fully like accepted like, oh, I have a part in this. This is why this happened. I was not able to move forward with Cameron. And it was bizarre because it's like, it was 4 years. Like, get over it. Mm-hmm. But until you actually let that...
you have to kind of like, you have to kind of have that hindsight and like taking accountability.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like taking accountability and realizing like your part in whatever like lets you let go of that resentment.
Yeah. Yeah. Because you're like,
because you're like, oh, I did something too.
We both hurt each other.
Yeah.
And like, it just is what it is. And I think that is the hardest thing to come to terms with.
Also, I think that just like letting it, like realizing, especially if it's like a long-term relationship, that you can't like erase that history, and that's always going to be a part of like your story and like why you are the way you are now, for better or for worse.
Yeah.
I think that just like coming to terms with that and just like letting that be a part of your being without it defining you.
Yeah.
I think it's important.
Yeah.
Just like letting that time be.
Yeah. And I don't like the idea of, like you said, like erasing someone. Like, even, I mean, we're all mortal people. Even if you are with the person you love forever, like one day, one of you is going to be gone before the other. And it's like everyone's in your life for a season. So you should celebrate that. It's, even if it went wrong, it's like that, like you said, it made you who you were. It was a whole time period in your life. Like, that's beautiful.
It's beautiful.
It is.
Okay. Oh my god! In the middle of me screenshotting these, I guess I had to screenshot, or I had to take a picture of Soph. Okay. Okay. Risa Ray. She says, "How to find credible sources for current events. It seems convoluted." Is that the right way to say that?
Yeah.
Why do I feel stupid? Okay. With how much is one-sided bias partisan news?
Take it.
So, I think that, number one, I like to know what's going on in bipartisan news. Well, not partisan news. I like to know what Fox is saying. I like to know what CNN is saying. And then I like to check it with like sources like NPR and how that like aligns with both those things. I would say also that Fox News is an entertainment channel. They aren't liable for any lies. CNN, if they lie, they have to print a retraction, or if they like misfact something.
That's an important distinction, and I want to repeat this again for our conservative listeners, because it is important. Fox News is considered entertainment. They do not have to tell the truth.
No, they do not have to tell the truth. They say what they want to, and whatever gets the most ratings is what they're going to continue to say.
And this is not us bashing anyone. This is just a fact.
This is a fact.
Yes.
This is fact. But also, I do recommend, I listen to, I don't recommend doing this, but I listen to NPR every day. They have daily little like news clips that are like 10 to 15 minutes. And I just like to, I feel like they're obviously very bipartisan. That's like it's literally national broadcasting. What's it called? National, what is the?
Public radio?
Yeah, public radio. National Public Radio. Sorry, NPR. So, like, it is all news, and it is bipartisan. So, and also just looking, like, a quick search on the internet from, like, a credible source with anything.
It's amazing how many people believe things that they see on the internet. And I already talked about this. It doesn't matter. It's just if you see a headline, don't believe it. Just check your sources first. And please don't believe that Black Lives Matter killed all the store owners.
Right.
I'm still trying to process that.
Grapple with that. Hippie friend. This is good. This is good. Because I wouldn't say I have any hippie friends, but definitely have had this happen to me. Hippie friends shaming you when you want to doll yourself up with fake nails or fun stuff. Like, I have friends who are, like, super, like, laid back, and they're like, oh, like, you're dressing up.
She's talking about us.
I guess I am. Like, I don't, like, yeah, like, sometimes I look like a troll, and then sometimes I want to doll myself up to remind myself that I'm not always a troll. So it has nothing to do with anyone else but me. And so when someone's like, oh, like, you're doing all that, and this isn't just you, this is, like, me growing up all the time, because I've always been extra. And so, and it would make me feel self-conscious, because I'm like, am I a tryhard? But, like, whatever. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's just a style choice. Like, you wouldn't, like, you're not bashing your friends for not trying, so why should they bash you for trying?
Yeah. All right, noted. There was one time I remember in high school when I pulled up and I had to cut my spirit tee into a tank. And it was the first time I'd ever worn a tank top. And someone came up to me and they laughed and they go, "Why are you wearing a tank top? You do not belong in a tank top." It crushes your soul. And so from that moment on, I started getting some shoulders, and I made sure that every time you saw me, I was going to be in a tank top. I just ran with that.
No shit. Okay, we've talked about this before, but this is just to reiterate, because I know that Caleb deals with this a lot. How to handle differing political views in family. Grandma stopped talking to me because I'm a Democrat.
I've never experienced that.
Really,
you know what? I told Dave last week when the Capitol things were happening.
Yeah.
I texted my mom, who we are obviously on opposite sides of the political fence, and I said, "I don't want to talk about politics, but I just want you to know that like what's happening at the Capitol is ridiculous, and like this is way worse than anything that you could have said Black Lives Matter did."
Yeah.
And my therapist said that you can't tell someone you don't want to talk politics and then talk politics. He said you need to not speak politics with people that you think could hurt your relationship. And if your family is receptive and you can have open conversations and agree to disagree, then do that. Otherwise, take it off the table. And what I've done personally with my family is try to completely take it off the table, because then if I don't, it ends up like every interaction, it's like just little jokes here and there. Like, "Oh, we heard this is happening in California. Oh, the Democrats are doing this. Oh, did you hear what your governor's doing?" And it's just like that. It's just not productive for our relationship. And it just like makes me like feel weird about interacting, because it's just annoying to every time be reminded that like we believe totally different things.
Yeah.
So it's like, let's just focus on what we do believe in. And I talked to my therapist about this, because I was like, I don't want that to be a cop-out. And he's like, that's not a cop-out. That's you doing what's personally best for this particular relationship. You can find other avenues to speak up, but there's no reason to ruin your family over this. Like, you're never going to agree, especially when there's generations apart. Like, you're not going to change each other's mind. So if you're trying to do that, don't.
Okay, so let us know if you want to do a part 2 of that, because we have plenty more questions, and we really enjoyed doing it. But we're going to move on to your recommendation, Bob.
Oh, I'm going to recommend a new show I started with Allison and Cameron when they were here, while she was here. Killing Eve. Killing Eve is starring Christina from Grey's Anatomy. What's her name?
Sandra Oh.
Sandra Oh. Yeah, really good show. Like a suspense, like killer type of thing. I do not know how
you watch all these shows.
It's on Hulu. I don't know how you don't. You know, because I'm not listening to NPR. That's why.
I told you that I started The Undoing.
What episode are you on?
3.
Okay.
But that's not what I'm going to recommend this week.
Well, that's a mistake.
So I forgot to say, when my mom was here, she had watched this movie. And then she told me I should watch it. And it's about RBG. And it's called On the Basis of Sex. And you have to, like, rent it on Apple TV or like whatever, but it is so good. It like goes through like kind of like the beginning of her life and like kind of like what led her into law in the first place, and kind of how she became so focused on equal rights for men and women. And it actually started by trying to fight for equal rights for men. It's very interesting.
Wow.
And she used that as an end to then start fighting for women. So anyway, it's called On the Basis of Sex. It's a very, very good movie. I wish that it was like longer. I wish like it would have gone into like more of her life. It ends like kind of like when her life begins.
Oh wow.
Like her like her
political career?
Yeah.
Where can you find it?
Like on like you have to like rent it, like on like movies on Apple TV or whatever. But
Redbox.
Yeah. Blockbuster. But it was a very good movie.
Family Video just closed this week.
In Marion?
No, over in the world.
I didn't know they had them other places.
Yeah, we had the last one.
I've never seen them anywhere
They were
else.
selling CBD for the last year to try to keep the doors open, but...
Is Little Caesars okay? I know they're usually connected to one. That's not funny. Oh, okay. Well, your intention for this week?
I didn't think about that.
It happens every single week.
You know what? I think my intention is to stay in a place of gratitude because I have been really grateful like the past 24 hours. And so I'd like to continue that streak.
That is funny.
You?
What, me?
You?
You're gonna ask me?
What's your intention?
My intention this week is to not go crazy.
You better find a new intention.
That's literally my intention. Just to make it through another week. I think
That's good.
that is
Yeah.
setting a high bar for myself.
I hope to see you here next week.
Right?
Coffee with my ex.
No, do it.
Coffee with my ex.